Welcome one and all to the Back of the Nest preview podcast. I'm your host Terence Ford, and this week Sam Hesketh and I are joined by Twitter legend Carl Davies as we look to build you up to Chelsea's visit to Selhurst Park. Carl, thanks for joining, mate.
Hey, thanks T. Looking forward to this.
Yeah, and Hesketh, this is now the fifth attempt at making a start to this show. Do you think Albert might have kiboshed it?
Yeah, he's put a curse on us. He's on holiday somewhere with his feet up and a little umbrella in his drink, cursing us, and it's working.
Well, I mean, he can't make the show tonight. Happily went on BBC London radio on Monday night, though, to rep the Back of the Nest crew. What a disgrace. Priorities all in the wrong place.
Do you feel like your BBC exclusive is out the window now? Is he coming in on your side hustle?
Well, in protest, I just refused to submit an article this week. Didn't write for him. Went, not having it. If I'm not number one, I'm not any number. Anyway, let's get into this.
I'm thirsty. I want a beer. What about you? You want a beer?
Did that sound really slow? It was like in slow motion. Want a beer? What you got, Carl?
I always want a beer. T, I saw you were on the Beavertown last week, so I followed you, but I've gone neck oil.
Neck oil, love it. Although it'll make a Tottenham fan out of you yet, I imagine.
Yeah, mate, they still the cheapest bar in the football when you offer them cash round the side.
I'm not saying the same as happening at Brentford on Saturday, but the same as happening at Brentford on Saturday. But although that was Spurs was just saying, "Oh, we only take cash," and then wasn't given any discounts. That's not quite the vibe. He's not understanding the two-way understanding this is supposed to be. Hesketh. You better not be drinking Cantonar beer.
No, I'm not. I'm drinking water.
We know he's on the Cronenberg, but rest assured is that.
In my defence, they were brought by a mate when they came round, and it would be rude not to drink them, right?
Look, if anyone comes to my house and brings beers and it's Cronenberg, you're not coming in. You can sit outside on the patio regardless of what the weather is. You can drink them out there.
That's because you've got Matthew Simmons in your lounge.
Yeah, he's got nowhere else to watch the Fulham games because they're not in the Premier League. So anyway, quick reminder that this week's podcast and for the next few will be sponsored by Manscaped. Remember, head over to manscaped.com and use the code BOTN at checkout to get 20% off and free shipping. Hesketh, there's something in this new package called the Weed Whacker.
That sounds like something you need to be very careful with to me.
It's waterproof. It's 9,000 RPM motor-powered 360-degree rotary dual blade system. It's a nose and ear trimmer. I reckon that's probably right up your street.
For nose and ears, sure.
Absolutely need it. And this is they're on the Manscaped Lawnmower 4.0 now. Do you reckon they've got like 10.0 lined up and it's just roll them out every few months? Yeah. Well, anyway, look, head over to manscaped.com and use BOTN at checkout for 20% off and free shipping. Right, let's get into this week's show. Anyone see that Palace were on Pointless? I don't know when this screen grab was from, but obviously the quiz show Pointless is you've got to try and answer a question with the most obscure answers possible. And one of the three options in the jackpot round for the subtitle Eagles was name 3 Palace players who have scored 5 Premier League goals for the club. In the jackpot. I mean, I would have been like, thanks for the jackpot. Very much before I even answer. Excellent stuff. Weirdly, got multiple people tweeting me saying Tommy Black. It's like, that's some severe misremembering going on there. Didn't even play in the Premier League for us. So, who would be your answers, Carl? Who would you go for? Remember, obscure as possible.
Pointless answer. I am going. I'm thinking centre back. So I am centre back who's got 5 goals for us.
So I went the exact same lines. My first guess.
So
and
oh God, no! I I'm dead. I can only think of obvious at the moment. So who we've got in the team? Eskif, you go and I'll think.
Oh God, now I'm under pressure.
So I'll kick you off. My first guess and what would have been my best shot at pointless answer is Eric Young. Got to be it. No one's going to get Eric Young.
Did you say Premier League or top division?
Premier League goals.
So he wouldn't have been Premier League.
Did he not score when was the first Premier League season? 92, 93?
Oh, probably did. Yeah.
He definitely scored goals that season.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure. Chris Coleman. Yeah, I wonder if he's got 4 or. I bet he's got like 3 or 4 or something, not 5. I don't know. I mean, I haven't checked any of these to see if they're right, but then I would have been Attilio Lombardo and someone like Marcus Bent would have been obscure, I reckon, 0-pointer. Although my dad did say that repeatedly Jason Punchin is a pointless answer on pointless whenever it comes up. So Jason Punchin's probably a good shout as well.
How many? Did Aki score more than 5 in the Premier League?
Nah, no chance.
No, we don't really scoring. We don't really do it. I mean, it's it's not our thing.
Yeah, because I was the one I did check out Andy Preece because I was thinking that might have been one of my answers, but he only got 4. But he had he scored like 4 in 3 games or something, didn't he? He went like back to back, and and that was the end of that. That was the end of that. But yeah, interesting. We're massive, obviously, because if we're turning up on pointless.
So I'll tell you, my aunt, I would say Marouane Chamakh, because I think everyone thinks he's shit, and I'm pretty sure he scored 5 goals for us.
Yeah, he definitely did. Yeah, he'd probably be pointless. I mean, I would imagine the only ones who wouldn't be pointless are like Zaha and Benteke.
Super obvious ones, yeah.
Unless they rocked up into SE25 and asked the questions there, do you know what I mean?
I think Andy Johnson, and I think remember people remember Andy Johnson.
Yeah, Andy Johnson, yeah, good shout. But outside of that, I can't. So it'd be probably you'd say James MacArthur, and one dickhead would have said it. There you go.
So pointless and topical, or not semi-topical Palace link. Very good friend of mine who does England away. Danny Mack ended up on pointless, got through to the final, and the question was name the founder members of football. And he won the jackpot. Fair play to him. He didn't say Crystal Palace 1861, did he?
Wow.
Mainly because it was 3 years ago.
Yeah, but I remember reading. I've read the history book on all that, and Crystal Palace is still listed there. But it was always with sort of an asterisk saying that it's not the same club as now. How do you feel about all that, Carl?
I've had a text from somebody to tell me could I stop talking about it. I do not own a Blackburn Rovers kit though.
Yeah, in Brighton colours. Nicely tipped over the bar there. I like that. You completed the 92 last weekend, Carl. Again. Getting to Brentford's new stadium. I'll go to both of you. Go to you after, Hesketh. What did you think of it?
Great location. Love the location. Love that. You can just rock up. Pubs absolutely everywhere. Easy to get in and out of. Thought it's fantastic. Stadium, underwhelming beyond belief. Didn't think, if I take it from the obvious piece of actually modern stadium, concourse was absolutely really narrow. It all got jammed up. Inside, I'm not going to blame them for having the sun at the opposite end blinding us without, nobody. No, I always wear a black baseball cap. I was fine. I was laughing at all you lot who couldn't see. But actually, I thought I thought those curves on the roof to join the stands up, when I've seen it on TV, actually thought quite good. When you're actually in there and you're looking, it goes down to like the 2 rows in one of the corners. Thought it looked a bit bang average, really. But yeah, great location.
Yeah, what about you, Hesketh?
Yeah, similar. I was really looking forward to it. Obviously, new ground for me. Always something to look forward to. But yeah, the state we got in there a bit earlier and went up to our seats. So the concourse I didn't really notice just because we didn't sort of hang around. But it was definitely very noticeable after the game. My mates were saying at half time as well. But I'm the same with Carl. I was a bit underwhelmed. Like you sort of get out into your seats and look on the pitch, and I was just like, oh, okay. Yeah. It reminded me a little bit of. Just because I've been there earlier this season, the AFC Wimbledon ground, where outside there's loads of blocks of flats, and then you get in and you're like, oh, quite small.
Let's be honest though. The Wimbledon concourse is significantly better. There is no real concourse. It's just outside. It's like a parking lot attached to the back of the stadium, and they had proper beer in there. I was a big fan of that. But no, I wasn't. I am blaming them for the sun, unless there was some sort of planning permission. The architect should know better than that, and it should have been a higher stand there, or done something to try and counteract it. But for 65 minutes, no one could see the bloody pitch. Although you did nicely offer to relieve a policeman of his cap for me. So
I did actually ask, could I just borrow it for 30 seconds because I'm going to win a pint out of it? And he went, no.
Not even entertaining the idea. Yeah, I can imagine. But I tell you what a day around the game. Obviously, a bit of a damn squib of a game. But we went to the Pilot pub, which was about a 10-minute walk up from the away end, not even that. And Electric Boogaloo by Tiny Rebel on tap. I just have a word, one of the best beers that exists. Fucking brilliant. And we was in there before and after, and we were joined by Steve's from People Just Do Nothing, who's a Brentford fan, and obviously good friends with John Petrie, our friend of the pod, who's a Palace fan. And so we're all in there after. My mate Barry, who came over from Australia recently and come to the Liverpool game, he was like, when he was over, he was like, oh, my sisters and her fiancés are Brentford season ticket holders now because they moved to the local area, and it was like 350 quid or whatever, 400 quid for a season ticket. So they're season ticket holders now, been there for a few years. You should try and meet up. And I'm like, look, we've got plans. It's not just not going to work out. She walks in the pub, her and her fiancé walk in the pub. So I'm like, Gemma, I'll have a go. Next thing you know, her fiancé starts going, all right, John, to John Petrie, I ain't seen you for ages. And I'm just like, what the fuck is going on here? And then Steve's walks over. They know Steve's as well. And I'm like, well, I suppose there's only really about 1,000 real Brentford fans, right? So I suppose it shouldn't be a shock that they all know each other. But I just, this weird sort of moulding of people from such different universes of my life coming together. But yeah, next time Brentford away, have a look into the Pilot. You have to book there. They don't want away colours, but they'd accept away fans in. But lovely pub, and as I say, great beer on tap. Kouyaté has returned from the AFCON. Gets a guard of honour, Hesketh. What did you make of his return? What was it? The champion is back, or something like that. He said, didn't he?
Yeah, well, I was I think a day or two before he got back to Palace, he was sort of posting stuff on his Instagram story, and it was just loads of videos of his mates and whatever, and him appearing in frame saying the champion of Africa has arrived, which is quite a good way to introduce yourself, I think. I did like the guard of honour that they did for him and how awkward he was, but he was saying, we're going to win the league next year. Cue lots of even Czech knows we're going to go down this year talk. But I think the thing is with him, it's the one thing that everyone knows about him is what a happy, positive guy. Everyone loves him by all accounts. So it was pretty good that he got such a reception, when he got back.
Yeah. Lots of links with him away from the club around transfer window and suggesting that he'd already signed for a club in Saudi Arabia. Any insight on this, Carl? What might be happening?
I assume, just an assumption, he's got an outline deal agreed.
That's what it looked like.
That's what it looked like, doesn't it? I mean, there was no way. I don't think you could really misinterpret what that video said. But I think obviously in South Africa they've taken that as in Saudi they've taken that as their fans anyway have taken that as it's a done deal. You hear that loads of times of players agreeing deals with other clubs when they have the option to. Doesn't mean they've signed on the piece of paper, and I wouldn't think for one moment he signed on a piece of paper because he was away with Senegal. So I take it he's got a deal there. It now puts the onus on us, and do we want to go do it? I know for absolute certain in an ideal world we want to keep him, but I guess it always comes down to how long's the deal and how much is the wage.
Yeah, especially at he's 32 now, so it's probably his last big deal in football that he's going to get. So got to think about it from a financial sense more than he would have done a few years back, I guess. Or perhaps, you never know, maybe he's not realised that because they're struggling so much, the Saudi Arabian Gulf thing are actually trying to sign him up and he's not going there to play football at all. I thought I was astounded by that. I saw an interview of Adam Scott going completely off piece. You sit like him just sort of justifying, it doesn't matter this Saudi Arabia because it's lots of money. And they were like, well, it's a bit questionable. And he's just like, it's lots of money. He's like, let other people have those debates. I'm just in it for the money. And it's like, wow, well, there you go. But did you see Hesketh, the video with Kouyaté and James MacArthur in the gym?
I did.
With Will Hughes. What was going on there?
Pretty funny. It's them all in the gym, and Jimmy says something like, "Check, now me and you are back. We're going to start winning games again."
And Will Hughes is just like pissing himself on the back. Yeah, excellent stuff. Something that had me pissing myself today, Carl. Omar Niasse signs for Burton.
Oh, we missed out on him.
Albert messaged me to say this time he's dived so far he's ended up in League One. But as I said, in an alternative timeline, we've paid him $4 million in wages and he scored 1 goal for us in 3 years.
Yeah,
it's astonishing, really. I mean, how could it all go so wrong for him?
He was at Huddersfield and didn't get a kick.
Crazy, it's absolutely insane, and it just still wonders how these players end up finding a way to the Premier League. Scouting is clearly not as easy as it looks, and you got to think that with everything we've done in recent times, we're probably on the better side of those things, especially in being able to attract the right people and right quality for the club of our size. But how does he get to where how did he get to the Premier League? How there's no checks in place?
Desperation, though, isn't it? Desperation does. He goes on a little run of games, scores some goals, and you know what? I've heard it from Palace. I've heard it from Steve many a times. You can never have enough goal scorers at your club. They become insurance policies should people get. I mean, especially look at Everton at the moment. Allegedly, they haven't been playing too bad, but couldn't score goals, and then eventually the confidence drains out, and then they're not playing well. And yeah,
right. All right, let's get into the big talking topic this week, which is obviously Eberechi Eze being linked with a £45 million move to Newcastle. Been quite the debates going on Twitter in the last couple of days. Typically polarising of just being like, can't call yourself a Palace fan if you'd even consider this type of behaviour, or sell him an Achilles injury and he's already past his best. Hesketh, I'll start with you. How are you feeling about this? 45 million, triple what we paid for him, is off the back of an injury. Is it something you'd consider?
I think it's probably something that would be considered if it was all that money. But I mean, I wouldn't want to sell him. I know that he's come back from his injury and people are saying he might not be the same player, but at the moment we don't really know whether he's not going to be the same player or not. I know that the policy really is sort of buy these really exciting young players in with a view to eventually selling them on for a decent profit, which obviously that would be. I'd like to keep him, I would say, but then I don't hold the purse strings, do I? So what do I know?
Yeah, Carl. So he's obviously, we don't know, Achilles injuries has absolutely ruined careers in the past, but it feels like these days the rehabilitation's never as long as it once was. It's like they're understanding that injury quite a bit more these days in the medical worlds, and everyone comes back sooner and makes bigger recoveries from it. But does he fit in Patrick Vieira's system? First question. Second question, does it matter because he got in the England squad playing left of a 4 under Roy Hodgson anyway? So what do you reckon?
I think that second bit actually answers it. I really do. I think naturally good players can play anywhere. Does he fit in our system as the team is at the moment? No. But Conor Gallagher goes over the summer, and that'll be the last we see of him, apart from when he turns up at Selhurst and we see him at Stamford Bridge. And who knows? I don't think any of us know what Vieira wants to play next season. because this shape has been built out of the players that he had available. I look at it going, at the moment, I think this is absolutely perfect. Eze's coming back. He's getting fitter. He's increasingly getting his touch. He's being more influential in games. Don't expect anything else out of him for the next 3 months. Then he gets a full pre-season. And then, I'm not saying you build the team around him, but you've got another way of playing next season, which is you have him in the 10. And then what you're looking to replace isn't Conor Gallagher. What you're looking to replace is, maybe it's an Anguissa who comes in. You're looking for defensive midfielders with legs to allow him to just go in one direction. So I'm excited for it. I'm excited for him. I'd be gutted to see him go. 45 million is a hell of a load of money. It doesn't have to do a lot of, I think we can safely say with where the club is at the moment with Dougie and the buys they're making, we'd make that money go a massively long way. But as a fan, I can't wait to see him next season playing in the 10 role and feeding an Edouard and feeding, linking off of a Wilf and linking off of an Elise.
Yep. I've got a QPR fan at work and he repeatedly says to me, "You've not even played him through the middle yet." And you think you've seen the real Eze. You got to get him through the middle, and that's when you really see it come to the fore. And it's true. I think he's good enough at his best to build a team around him. So you're absolutely right. Mix the system up a bit. And Hesketh, I'm pretty sure Carl just confirmed that Anguissa in the summer.
Guaranteed.
Guaranteed signing.
Yeah. Did they beat? I didn't see Napoli. Did they beat Barcelona tonight in the end?
1-0.
1-0.
1-0. Yeah. I mean, the sooner Napoli don't make Champions League would be probably the best thing for us in all of that.
Yeah. Only picked up a point on the weekend as well, didn't they? So you never know. Juve coming alive a bit in that division could keep them out of it. The other talking point this week. And it seems to be cropping up more and more, is Zaha seems to be becoming a massive target for our fans I mean, you was at Norwich enough, Hesketh, and had the bloke behind you, which you talked about before he pinged the ball top bins, chatting crap about him. A lot of people are saying that he's lost a yard, he's past his best. Someone's been throwing stats at me this week, which was on a work call with someone who's trying to do business with me. They want me to pay for stuff, and he starts telling me no one's lost the ball more than in Premier League history than Wilfried Zaha. I was like, yeah, have you watched how our players pass to him? Like just pinging it at him at 100 miles an hour when he's got 3 people around him and you're expecting him to bring it under control and hold them all off and whatever. So Carl, is he past his best, or is there still a lot to offer at just a tender age of 29?
I think he probably is past his best, but he's still exceptional in our standards. I mean, are we a better team with him or without him? We're a better team with him, and we'll be a better team with him next season. Is he the player he was probably 2-3 years or so ago? Maybe not. I'm not sure if he's just lost a yard of pace. We're definitely playing him differently, and he's playing differently. He's been asked to play differently. Now, again, you see that playbook, which we do, and you saw it loads at Norwich, saw it a few times at Brentford, where he picks up the ball. He's not asking to go and try and dribble. And remember the times when people used to say, oh, Zaha slows us down because he dribbles down blind alleys. He's not. He's picking up the ball and he's laying off, or he's taking it in and letting T go, letting Mitchell go outside him. And we're looking to play him in a different way. He comes alive in the box. He's explosive still in the box.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that Mitchell move at Norwich, to say that, I mean, we need to get that running more and more often, because it's our next, I think I talked about on the pod last week, it's our next stage of opening teams up, right? That's getting that forward. And obviously it's only coming from one side if it comes at all at the moment. And that's probably something that we really need to think about in the summer. We'll get onto summer moves shortly. But yeah, for me, just look at the goal against Norwich. I mean, just don't even talk about the penalty. Look at the goal against Norwich. And again, at Brentford, it's the same examples I'm talking about, just constantly being asked to do an awful lot under a lot of pressure from Brentford players, and not many people really supporting him, Hesketh.
Yeah, and I think as well, last year he scored, I think, 11 goals, didn't he, when we were a team that weren't scoring very much at all. This year he's got 6 goals. I think he's scoring 1 in 3 the last 2 years, which is not bad, considering a lot of the time he is out wide or, isn't doing as much, people are saying, as he used to. I mean, I've said this a million times. I'll defend Wilf to the death because I love him and I think he's brilliant. But I think maybe a little bit of it is that we've got Elise now who's doing all the tricks and getting a lot of plaudits, rightly so. So I wonder if people have sort of moved on from Wilf a bit because we've now got Elise doing all this exciting stuff. But I think Wilf is still a massively important player. So would love to see him continue for years.
Go on, Carl.
I think what I've said to a few people who've Palace fans who sit around me who criticise Wilf, which was and they did go to Man City away. You talk about Wilf being past his best. I thought he was exceptional at City away, playing through the centre, playing on the last man, that dropping short, that yard to drop short and receive the ball, but getting tight and twisting and turning off of them. I mean, he's versatile. He's a different player to he was 3-4 years or so ago. And just what Eskif said then. We've got Elise now who gets us off of our seat, or an Eze as it was last season, and hopefully next season. Will probably gets us off of our seat less times, and we don't necessarily expect him to get off our seat. But he is explosive, and I just don't think anybody in our team delivers as much as he does with what he has going on around him. Every team fears him. Every team we play, the first thing they work on is how they stop Wilf. Be it either the ball getting to him or him receiving it in areas he doesn't really want to receive it. That's because he's that good.
Yeah, and as you say, with adding Elise and Eze into that mix, if we find a way next season that it's those three behind someone up top, what your plan is to stop Zaha, but what about Elise? But what about Eze? It becomes a lot more difficult for teams. And but that brings us to the summer, and I'll stick with you, Carl. Obviously, he'll only have a year left on his contract. How do you see that playing out?
Me personally, I wouldn't negotiate. Yeah, I'd let this summer get out the way. Sorry, I suppose the first bit is: do you try and cash in the summer, or do you leave it to the following summer? I work on the principle: the only club that's going to be stupid enough to throw big money and therefore lose it all because you won't get a resale on him would be Newcastle. But work on the principle he's not going to Newcastle, then I don't think there's going to be an offer that would overly tempt us. It might tempt him, but it wouldn't tempt us. He sees out his last season. I think once you get into, he's had his 30th birthday and you're past November, I think that's when you can start the negotiation. But you're then offering him what other clubs would be offering, and that means, he's going to get a big loyalty bonus for staying with us. You're going to end up offering a big signing on fee to re-sign in a contract. That's that's the way of the world. We've done that in the past with players, and I still think it plays out that he stays at Palace, albeit I know agents who will think for absolute certain he's definitely going because his family want him to go, his brother wants him to go.
Yeah, well, because he's going to be broke if he doesn't leave or something like that. Should mention turned a new page in his life. Get it, page. Proposing to his girlfriend this week that he stole from Courtney House from Aston Villa, who is a big lump. That's just brave, isn't it? But so congratulations to Wilf and Paige on their engagements. Other moves in the summer, Carl, I've had a question about goalkeeper. First up, do you think we need one? Do you think it's even remotely anywhere near top of the list at the moment?
I don't think it is top of the list, but I do think we need one. I'm really pleased with Butland as a backup, but if you and if we had to go 2-3 months playing him, I'd be comfortable with that. But I don't see him as a Premier League week in, week out first choice goalkeeper. I see him like the same way as I see the two keepers down at Southampton. They're just about good enough for short periods of time. Vinny's 36 at the moment, 35, 36. He was a great signing when you consider, obviously no fee, no doubt a chunk of salary and all of that. But he looks, again, for the way we want to play, he doesn't look good enough with his feet. He's definitely not getting in his sharper and his reaction saves. I haven't seen the stats. I would guess we're in the, from, keeper, our keepers being ranked, I would think our first choice keepers ranked in the bottom 4 or 5 teams. Me personally, I'd strengthen. And again, if that could be Sam Johnston out of West Brom on on something whereby therefore there's not a big fee, even though you might be signing on fee and all of that, then that'd be great.
Yeah, he's definitely, in terms of, I've seen stats around how many goals you concede as a percentage of expected goals score, and he ranks 4th bottom in the Premier League, Waiter, which is obviously not great when you got people like Newcastle goalkeepers considerably higher. And I've been trying to think about why that might be. He does, I suppose we have been conceded, we have done quite a lot conceded goals from range with low expected goals, if you think.
Yeah.
But then, a classic example of that this season is both of Southampton goals at Selhurst are disgustingly low expected goal scores. But what are you supposed to do on either of them? That Bodra, it just absolutely rifled that. And James Ward-Prowse from 25 yards, it's like a penalty for him at the moment, as much as I hate to admit it. He's just absolutely brilliant at that. So that's why he's ranking low down there. I think we can probably still get another year out of him, but yeah, definitely longer term. I mean, we've always said it. I think everyone in Palace circles said it. Sam Johnston's got to be your man who you want to be trying to get in the ear of and get him down to Palace in any way we can. Do you think there's any chance of that?
There's got to be a chance, because it's a World Cup year. That's a massive benefit for us, because he will want to be a first choice goalkeeper, and he'll want to be a first choice goalkeeper in the Premier League. How many Premier League clubs are going to be looking for a first choice goalkeeper?
Yeah,
there's not going to be that many. So look, we will definitely have a chance. I think where I get with Vinny is, if it's not this summer, you don't buy keepers in winter windows. If you're not buying in this summer, it's going to be next summer. I would imagine Palace are well and truly looking at identifying keepers, and I can't help but think Sam Johnston's going to be one of them, and he'll only be available this summer. So I imagine we'll have a dart at it, but I would also imagine there's 2 or 3 other deals that they're going to want to do that they do know are essential, because they around the midfield primarily, may well be at right back. Who knows now with Ferguson, etc.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's sad to see, really, that he's picked up another injury, and it's one of those things, isn't it? It's so hard to get back playing after an injury that's kept you out so long. Body's going to break down in other parts. You're not even aware that you're sort of relying on other parts of your body to protect that part of your body. I remember what it was like after I had all my knee surgery. I didn't realise I was doing it, but I was just ruining my ankle as a result of it, because I weren't moving my leg in the same way. So it's going to happen, and hopefully for him it will work out. But I struggle to see him being a Premier League right back.
He might be a Premier League right back. I think our challenge will be, as near as makes no odds, he's not going to get any football for us now this season in the first team. So then he goes away for the summer, then he comes back and does pre-season. Palace have got a decision to make. I'm working on the principle there's no Nathaniel Klein. Do you go into next season with Joel Ward and a Nathan Ferguson, and you don't know if he can string 5 games together when it gets to really competitive? Or do you go and buy yourself another right back, or you try and do Klein for another year, or whatever it may well be, and you're in that continuous holding pattern? I don't think you can keep the holding pattern going, because I think this will be the summer where we will have to twist, and we may well have to go and buy ourselves another right back, knowing that at best then maybe Ferguson goes out on loan, and then the following season he's available as a Premier League right back, having proven he can play 25, 30, 35 games in the season.
Yeah, I see you nodding there, Hesketh. There's got to be the way for Ferguson to get his way back in, right?
Yeah, and I think if we are able to, like, if he does get back to fitness and he has like Carl says, a season maybe in the Championship, top end of the Championship, and he's playing every game, then he's going to come back stronger. Obviously, his fitness will be better. You would imagine his confidence for having played a full season will be there. and then you can say, okay, bring him back into the fold. But I agree with Carl. I think if you sort of risk accepting, I mean, if you say, yeah, he's going to be fine next season, and then keep Wardy, who's, much as I love him, not having the best of times at the moment, and you would assume would continue that sort of downward slope next year, and then Ferguson doesn't come back or isn't fully fit, then you're stuck, like Carl says. So I wouldn't be surprised if we went and got another right back, because then, if Ferguson does come good, then you've got two very solid right backs pushing each other in a year and a half, 2 years' time.
Yeah, makes sense. Right. Few quick fire questions for you, Carl. In spirit, this is from Steve on Twitter, in spirit of spending half the pod talking about non-Palace rating the news, we've done all right this week. I think we've done a lot of Palace. What's your best memory following England and Roma?
Let me start the latter. Let me start Roma, because that just jumps off the page straight away. Family always important. Took my lad to his first Roma game. His first home game at the Olimpico, middle of the Curva Sud. Finished Roma 3, Barcelona 0 when Barcelona were a good team playing on Tuesdays and Wednesday nights, not on Thursday night.
Was that the famous Roma have risen from the ashes commentary?
Yeah, Roma have risen from their ruins. Yes,
that was it. From their ruins.
That was the wife saying, "You will get him back okay, and you won't keep him out till 4:30 in the morning." We were still dancing around fountains. So the Roma one's easy. England, I think probably my favourite game, and it sounds... Actually, if I put a timeline on it, it was the week before Joby McAnuff scored at Brighton for us to win 3-2 with a last-minute winner. England-Argentina's always lively. Played them in Geneva. It was fighting before the game. There was fighting during the game. And England are losing 2-1 to Argentina, going with 1 minute to go, and won 3-2. It was absolute carnage. It was fantastic. So it was a friendly for all of the World Cups, all the Euros done. My favourite England game is England 3, Argentina 2 in Geneva.
Were you at the 5-1 even Heskey scored?
5-1 even Heskey scored, yeah. And I mean, again. So, I mean, there's been some incredible landmark ones. I think because that was such a big win, you could see it coming. It was. I think football is you go back to Palace 4, Liverpool 3. If Palace had won 4-0, it probably wouldn't be most people's favourite game, because it'd been a brilliant performance, maybe our greatest ever result, but not your favourite game. The same with the 5-1. It was, we knew we were winning well into the game. Yeah.
They're casting Yanker up front as well, and you got to be putting that to the sword, to be honest. Nick Gussett, Roma manager to replace Patrick Vieira when he inevitably leaves. Would you have a bit of that?
Oh, what? PV at Roma? No.
When Vieira inevitably leaves Palace, for whoever, would you take in the Roma manager to Palace?
Our host, look, you watch. At least one of you two watches a little bit of Italian football. I love Jose to bits. I would not want him at this Crystal Palace Football Club. I watched that Roma game on Sunday or Saturday, whenever it was. I'm still taking counselling from it. For those who haven't watched a lot of Roma this year, and that would be probably everybody listening to this, it's a slightly more theatrical version of Roy Hodgson football at the moment.
Something about me just sees him ending up at Newcastle. Bobby Robson coming full circle kind of thing. You see him as that sort of thinker, would think like that, and the massive contract they'd offer him wouldn't hurt either, I'd imagine.
Do you imagine? Yeah.
Adam has said, how far can we go in the FA Cup this year?
Well, we can go to the final and we can win it. I think, I've got a feeling. If I put money on it, if I was to say where do we go out, laws of averages, when we draw Chelsea in the quarterfinals. But I'm hoping this is our year. I'm praying this is our year, and I'm hoping we get a home draw in the quarters. Hopefully we get past Stoke. Then hopefully get a home draw in the quarters. Then it's one game at Wembley. I'll take anybody at one game at Wembley in a semi. So Yeah.
I'm not sure if I could take losing to Boreham Wood at Wembley in the semi, though, to be honest.
Well, name on the cup.
Heskey, if you're shaking your head there, you just think Stoke are going to do us, don't you?
Yeah, it's pretty on brand for me to say that, isn't it? I'm upset. I think we might have talked about this, but someone reminded me at work yesterday that I'm now seeing someone who I used to go and watch at Palace's grandson.
Yeah.
That's horrible.
Yeah.
I'm not old enough for
exactly. Right. There's news has come out that the Botafogo team are visiting the academy. Do you know anything about this?
Yeah, I think it's well and evidently Textor originated, but I think it's that logical things that clubs generally do, but the press making a little bit more of a deal of all of this one, which is, I think that's probably the first thing that's going to happen with Textor at Botafogo and obviously his interest in, his stake that he's got in Palace, which is we don't compete with each other. There's things that each other can learn from each other. So the first bit of all of that is they haven't got a big, sexy academy set up in the way that we've got it. And, let the team come over, let them have a look at it all around it, let them spend time with our coaches, and then off to the game on Saturday.
And get that 17-year-old Nascimento or whatever his name is, dude, I've got up front. I've actually watched a few of their games because of all this loving that's gone on. It's good entertainment. I watched one, they come back from 2-0 down and won 4-2. And they're actually playing right now as we called, but a 0-0 at half time. But for a team that got promoted last season, they're mixing it up there with the big boys at the moment. I have no idea what's going on though. Like, I assume that this seems to be some sort of regional league that is a precursor to the actual season. I have no idea what's happening. But you will be able to hopefully find out more because there is a Botafogo fan has started a YouTube channel called Glorious Botafogo in English. So he every week is doing an update on what is in English. And actually, John Textor is actually using it as a sort of a learning tool to understand what's going on. And it makes it a lot easier for him in English. And Back of the Nest, someone from Back of the Nest will be going on with them on Saturday night live on YouTube to learn a bit. So both of us can learn a bit about each other's clubs. So look out for that. I have one more question for you from Twitter's resident troll, Matt CPFC. Can the Rams go back to back in the Super Bowl? No team's done it for 20 years.
House. Yeah, I like my NFL. Somebody called me a glory hunter. I've got up stayed up at bloody 11 a.m. till 11 p.m. till 2 a.m. for the last 20 years for the winter months, watching the Rams' inevitable failure. So yes, I did. It's been a long week. I did very much enjoy Sunday night, Monday morning, and can they? Yeah, they definitely can.
Yeah, Heskey, if you went into a show last night, that's why we're recording on Thursday this week, not Wednesday. How did the show compare to the halftime Super Bowl show?
If by show you meant go and get loads of cheap booze in the student union at the university where I work.
Oh, I thought you'd gone to see a band.
No,
outrageous.
No. I went into the office yesterday for the first time this calendar year, and there was a few people in there, so I said, let's just go to the union.
Look, mate, Carl, you see what I've got to put up with here? Albert can't be bothered to come on. He's out in the piss up in the student union bar.
Listen, I told you can get five pints for like 11 quid. It's great.
Oh, that's right then. Fair enough.
Is the student union the Spurs stadium? Is that what it is?
Yeah, cash down the side.
You get a hot dog as well for that 11 quid in there. Yeah, did you see the Super Bowl halftime show?
Yeah, I was, and look, I'm where my stupidly big TV with its system of sound is under my middle one's bedroom. So she also got the halftime show at about 1:30 in the morning. Dad, I've got to get up tomorrow morning. It's like, you're the child. You're meant to be texting me. I'm meant to be texting you with that stuff.
Yeah.
It was fantastic.
It was brilliant. I mean, I just sat there being like, how does Mary J. Blige look that good at 51 for starters? Just astonishing, really.
If we could get those acts over for On Your Shed Son, I think we'd do it.
Yes.
Absolutely. Well, they talked about wanting to expand the halftime shows at Palace. Heskey, how do you think Dr. Dre would go down? I reckon it'd be great.
Yeah, it'd be wonderful. I don't know how he would feel about the hallowed halls of Selhurst Park, but Give it a go.
Just like slowly rising up out of the shed.
Yeah.
Ding, 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 ding. Yeah. Brilliant stuff. Right, let's get into... Oh, Lordy, look at the running time. Sorry, it's a long one this week, people. World champions. We've just talked about the world champion Rams. Is this any more or any less of a world championship than the Super Bowl car?
I'm not having them as world champions.
I didn't even realise it had happened.
No, I was going to say, I was literally writing this tweet about how comes Chelsea haven't had to play this week when there's no midweek fixtures, and I thought there's got to be a reason. So I googled it and went, oh, that's where they are then.
That's a bit. I had no idea. But good news is, it's Mount's got injured out there. Ruben Loftus-Cheek's carrying a knock. James and Chilwell were still out. So that's good news for Zaha, because I reckon Reece James is probably the only fullback he's never got any change out of. Everyone else he's had at least several good moments against. James is always just like, he's a beast of a man, isn't he? Just excellent right back, great strength, great pace. And Hesketh, little 3 days later in the Champions League for Chelsea, the league title was probably gone for them now. They're not going to get that. So a lot of focus on the Champions League. This is a lot of things playing in our favour, mate.
Wow! Whoa! Hang on. I was talking to our mutual mate, Miserable Dave, about Chelsea, and I'm just like that. There are certain teams where even Miserable me sort of thinks, we've got a chance against Arsenal these days. Sort of randomly Man City sometimes every now and again, but Chelsea to me seem like a bit of a robotic. I just think that they'll be a bit too strong for us, and. Like first game this season when they beat us 3-0, I was like, yeah, that sort of fits. So even though they've got players out or players carrying knocks, their squad is pretty strong in it. And I just think they're going to be, again, robotic and better than us, unfortunately.
Well, eight losses on the bounce to them. They've scored over three or more goals against us in the last 4. And Carl, Romelu Lukaku, he's only scored more goals against 4 other clubs than us.
Well, and that's before this week. And look, I think everything that Eskif says, I'm sort of with. They're the one club that when I look at the moment, I just don't see us getting any change out of. I'll give us a positive from Brentford, which gives me a little bit of hope for Chelsea. Actually thought we defended set pieces and long throws really well. Chelsea score a hell of a load. I know they're not Liverpool in their set piece goal scoring, but they score a hell of a load from set pieces. So that gives me a little bit of confidence that we've clearly improved in that area. But yeah, I mean, they've got quality everywhere, and he's like an under 15 playing in an under 11s league. So I know Joachim's big, but I've got a feeling he may well and truly be bullied a bit on Saturday.
Well, if his battle against Chris Wood up at Burnley is anything to go by, I think he's going to be in for a tough afternoon.
Yeah.
Lukaku has 8 career goals against Palace, 9 against Southampton and Bournemouth, and 11 against West Ham and Villa. Bullying the claret and blue teams there. But 8 losses in a row. There's not going to be many teams out there we've lost 8 in a row to at any point. Or gone much beyond that. So perhaps it's our time, Hesketh. It's just time to end that run. It was Zaha, Hodgson's first win was the last time we beat him. It's got to be time. We drew 1. Come on.
How strong is that wine that you've had?
It's it comes from Julian Speroni land and is a Malbec.
Very nice.
I've had 3 glasses of it, so probably strong enough.
Great. I wonder why your cheeks are looking rosy. I mean, there's a couple of good things in that. Czech is back, I would imagine. Jimmy obviously came on as a sub and straight away looked sort of like he was going to make a difference against Brentford. Obviously, Connor can't play, so having those 2 in the team, I assume they'll both go back in the team, is a plus. Because I think when our 3 was Czech, Jimmy and Connor, our midfield they just worked really well together. They all complement each other. And when Jimmy got injured, it hurt us. And then when Czech went off to AFCON, it hurt us. So obviously Connor can't play, but having 2 of those 3 back in is going to be a big lift, I think. So I'm hoping that gives us a bit more bit of a bounce.
Yeah, my hope is, again, everything you just said, I'm with you there, Eskip. My hope is that we go on the front foot. I think we of those 8, I think I'm taking this again. I take counselling for a decent chunk of them. We actually turned up, never looking to properly play. We never gave them anything to think about. And I think if we give Chelsea the ball for 90 minutes, they will end up creating enough chances to win the game for certain. My hope is that he does go with Kouyaté, he does go with MacArthur. I'd love to see Eze in there. Now, I don't think for one moment we get Eze, Elise, and Zaha, so I'm expecting Ayew in, but I do hope that we will look to get on the front foot, we will look to keep hold of the ball, we will look to attack and try and hit them and not just sit in and then try and snatch something on the counter.
Yeah, you mentioned what we did at City, right, is the dream of what you want. Let's get up them really early and see if they can handle the high intensity press.
Yeah.
And weirdly, doesn't happen often, but City just obviously weren't expecting it and completely folded under it. And by that point, they were chasing the game, and we could pick them off a little bit more on the counter, and it was suited us a lot more.
Yeah.
And absolutely against Chelsea, same thing. You've got to go after them. We can't do what we did on the opening. Was it opening game of the season or whatever it was? It was just, that was appalling. And we were all the press was writing about Frank de Boer vibes, weren't they? At that point, if you remember back then,
written off.
Written off completely. But not so much now with fans singing "We've got Super Pat Vieira in the stands," is it? But still, we've only one more win than Norwich. Weird season, isn't it? It's a very weird season. What's your sort of thoughts for the rest of the season? How does it go, Carl? Do you think we steal a few more places in the league, continue in the FA Cup a bit, got to be guaranteed as a successful season?
Yeah, look, I think there's evidently there's many measures, and one of them ultimately comes down to your league place, and deep down, apart from the prize money, there's very little between if you finish 12th or 14th or whatever it may well be. From fans, I think it's been a brilliant season so far, really entertaining. In answer to what I'm expecting for the rest of the season, if we can get past Stoke and we're into a quarterfinals of the FA Cup, that will be memorable. That will be something, we'll absolutely give ourselves the big tick on. Season-wise, there's enough games in there whereby I think all of them we should be entertaining. There's enough games we can go win. If we can finish 15th and 14th, 15th and had a proper run in the FA Cup and seen lots of entertaining football, it's a big success of a season. We'll all get to the end of the season looking forward to next season. It's been I think we can safely say there weren't too many of those seasons in recent times where you really look forward to the next season.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still looking forward to every game we play this season because I just like the way we approach games now. We know we're not going to go there and just sit back on our armchairs and wait for, teams with probably the same level of squad players as we've got and just let them attack us and things like that. We know we're going to go and have a go at them. It's not worked out for a few games, just breaking down at key points and stuff like that. But, we're going to have a go. You're going to get to see Elise, who is I'm going to keep comparing him to Robin. He's a young Aaron Robin. Like, what he's going to do. You know exactly what he's going to do. Stopping him is a completely different thing. And just as he adds more and more experience to his game there, he's going to become better and better. And he's just, he's already got the output. There's goals, there's assists. To say no one's got more than him in all competitions in English football in this calendar year. So, I mean, as I say, giving him an assist for that Zaha guy at Norwich is a bit generous. But well, I think that was similar to was it last season? Pogba had like 10 assists after 10 games, and they were all to Bruno Fernandes, who was just letting fly from 30 yards from 2-yard Pogba side passes. But yeah, excellent to watch him. As you say, you've got Eze slowly working his way back. It's fun to watch. I just think get the balance right up front. That's all we're looking for now. I think we've got what we've got towards the back. We know what we've been lacking in midfield, but at the moment, Mateta's sort of coming up has kind of screwed things a little bit in a way because it's like, what do we do now? Hesketh, what were your thoughts on Mateta? in the game against Brentford. Had a decent game against Norwich, as we thought, probably his best game for Palace. What did you make of him at Brentford?
Yeah, definitely not as good against Brentford. I don't think anyone played great against Brentford, though, to be honest. The defence looked all right, but sort of in an attacking sense, we were a bit stunted. It is weird, like you say, because in my head, I think our best striker is Edouard. But then I also like him playing off the wing, cutting inside because he's got good feet. And I'd sort of given up on Mateta until fairly recently, but I'm now especially even when he's not scoring like that Norwich game, I was like, all his runs were brilliant and he looks exciting. You son of a... Every week, and I still don't get that it's coming.
Yeah, but no, I agree. I agree with you. It's totally right. And then you got Benteke. Was it 4 goals in his last 6 starts? Sitting on the bench is not really getting much of a look in. It feels messed it up a bit. But the last one I'll end with before we wrap this up, Carl, is Mark Gay. Excellent against Brentford. Absolutely brilliant performance, except from that handball in the penalty area, which was a slight push. But why is your arm up there anyway?
What's he doing? It's a Rolls Royce, isn't he? He's an absolute. He's passing through. He's passing through, boys. He's a little bit. He's going places, isn't he? He's a.
Is he going to Qatar? Is the question.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, look, him, White at Arsenal. I mean, look, that's England's weakest place, isn't it? Is at centre back. There is John Stones. And everything else is then up for debate. I think I know for absolute certain, because I've heard him say it in private, Southgate really, really rates Gay, and they kept him around the 21 so he can be absolutely playing games as opposed to, but they keep him with, he does train with the England squad when they're all together at St George's Park. I'll be amazed if he's not in the England squad. Potentially for the March games, but definitely the big ones are June. I think for him, I think once he's in it, he's in it.
Yeah,
I think once the moment he's in that squad, I don't see him stepping out of it.
Yeah, and it's going to be a change in culture if we're doing this at Palace, bringing players like Gay and Elise in, who we just know that it's 2 or 3 seasons and they're off and make big money on them. Just going to have to accept that that's the way of things. But I think it might be sooner with Gay. He's just, he's an unbelievable footballer and just, barely ever loses anything against anyone. And he's just only going to get better with experience defensively, and the passing and the dribbling and the breaking through the lines is just, who's not going to want that in their team?
And the upside for us is I think we've got about the best contract in the history of football when you've got a top talented player, because we've got Chelsea with matching rights for his fee.
Yeah.
So anybody who's going to come in, because he is going to the top, so anybody who's going to come in is going to have to come in with such a big offer, because they're not trying to just, can Palace afford him? It's, can they outprice Chelsea's matching rights? So yeah. It's a properly clever contract.
Yeah, well, absolutely. And yeah, you've got to hope that sees it north of 50 million, which
he's going for more than White, isn't he? He's going for more than White.
Yeah, and then how much did Harry Maguire go for?
Yeah, there's your benchmark, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Right, we'll wrap it up there because we're already an hour this week. So thanks everyone for bearing with us. Always think it's good to have Carl on though, and try and eke some inside information out of him. But Mick, mate, really appreciate you joining. Thanks for taking the time to speak to us.
Cheers, guys. Up the Palace.
Up the Palace. And Hesketh, Thursday next week. We'll be recording Thursday, so in your ears for Friday, because we're away at Watford on Wednesday.
We are.
So we'll be reviewing that and then previewing whoever we play that weekend.
Burnley.
God, they come around already.
I might have made it up. Fill time. I've got my calendar out. Hang on.
I just never know we're playing anymore.
It's Burnley. Do you reckon there'll be a few empty seats for Burnley for those people who aren't necessarily regular Palace goers who might have bought a Chelsea ticket?
Yeah, yeah, just might be. So we'll be recording Thursday night next week, so probably not in your ears until Friday. And that's it. Botafogo have just taken the lead, so up the Botafogo 1-0 against Resende. And until next week, up the Palace.